Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, Syndicate members. What is going on, man? It's Wednesday. It's 9 a.m. You know what that means. That means we're live right here in Austin, Texas at Insurance Syndicate headquarters for one of your favorite shows of the week, Winning on Wednesday. My name's Tony Merwin, as always. Well, not as always, because I wasn't here last week, but it is always Tony Merwin. And my guy to my right is my partner in crime, the master of disaster, the tower of power, Lean Joe Green, the money-making machine.
Woo.
And that's not just a clever name. This dude somehow... I mean, we have a printer, but it's broken, but he prints money somehow. I'm not even joking. If you want to figure out how to increase your cash flow, put more money in your pockets too, talk to this dude.
We're gonna talk a little bit about that today on the show as well. Thank you for bringing that freaking energy, Tony. That just woke me right up. Happy Winning on Wednesday, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you can, let us know in the comments that you can hear and see us. Happy Winning on Wednesday. You know why we are here. We're here to share all the wins. Start dropping those weekly wins in the comments. We will definitely get to ours as well. Real quick before we get started, as always, shout out to Viva Virtual Solutions. They are the main sponsor of the show. Thank you so much for all that y'all do here within the syndicate, for all of our members, for all of our channels, for YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, obviously Facebook. Shout out to Lily Davies, everything that you're doing on that side. And then a huge shout out to Rob Lopez, who is running Viva. Man, Rob, I got to give you a shout out, dude. This is a special shout out. Obviously, you guys know I'm with Clearview Insurance now, and we definitely utilize a ton of strategic partners, and I call them, strategic partners, strategic teammates through Viva. So I'm a little bit biased, but that's because they're freaking awesome. And Rob has something new that is rolling out. So be on the lookout for that here within the group when it comes to, and this is, I guess, probably more on the property and casualty side, just any of your back office remarket administrative type tasks. There's going to be some solutions for that to fill in those gaps. So we're excited to roll that out again. Shout out to Viva. Thank you for everything that y'all do here within the insurance syndicate. But I alluded to it earlier. You guys know what time it is. I mean, it's Winning on Wednesday. We share them every week. I don't care how big or how small. Start dropping those weekly wins in the comments. We want to be able to celebrate you. Like I said, I don't care if it's a renter's policy or a 96,000 square foot semiconductor manufacturing plant. Drop it in the comments. Mr. Merwin, what you got, my man?
Man, I got to go with Invictus. It kicks off tomorrow, right? Yeah, today's Wednesday. That means tomorrow, Thursday. Yeah, it kicks off tomorrow. Pretty much sold out event. Like, bam.
Talk about Invictus.
We got maybe 8 or 9 general admission tickets left, and that's it, dude. It is a packed house. If you haven't heard, if you don't know what Invictus is, it is the only Spanish language insurance conference open publicly to insurance agents of all lines of business. I will say it is heavily attended in the life and health space, but we do definitely have advanced market people there and an annuity and in advanced market life insurance products, and also some P&C folks hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
Great all-around event. We have new speakers. We got some new topics. Same location. Awesome hotel at the Royal Sonesta right there at Houston Galleria. Man, if you're in Houston, you speak, or even if you don't speak Spanish, Sam Wolf came to the event and wore the translator earbuds and was picking it right up off stage, and it did not slow him down. He was feverishly taking notes. He was picking up the content. It was slick. Joanna Wyckoff, same thing. Like, she doesn't speak a lick of Spanish, but she's there every year for the value, right? Because she knows it's going to be a valuable conference. And this is the big thing about it. Like if unless you're living under a rock, the Spanish market is the emerging market, not just in Medicare, not just in ACA. I would say it's true in life insurance. I would say it's true in P&C as well. So it is the fastest growing segment of most insurance lines. So come get a piece of the action, man.
It's awesome,
It's
man.
going to be an awesome event.
I know you guys, all the work that you put in to getting that thing up off the ground. Anybody that's run an event before, I've run 2 myself. Well, I say like an actual event. I've done 2, and it is, oh my goodness, like what the work that goes into that. So if you are attending an event, be very appreciative to the people that are running and hosting the event. There's so much that happens behind the scenes to make it all work. It really does make me appreciate, like a Cody or Nate, and just some of those conferences that we attend, man. It's like, or I know you were just at
Medicarians.
Medicarians, right? And then Medicare Con, I know, is also, I mean, you got like 1,000 freaking people. It's like, dude. Or Medicarians, what'd you say was like
4,200 registered agents at Medicarians. That's a massive event.
That's
like
over 4,000
That's
people.
The biggest event I've ever been to by any means. But I mean, that's a professional event running group that runs that. It's the same group that runs Leads Con.
Yes. Yeah. That's a lot of people. So shout out to anybody that does that. We appreciate you. And I like to attend them as well. Well, I guess speaking of events too, we got SWAT that's coming up. I hope to see a lot of y'all at SWAT, Strategic Wealth Accumulation Tactics. That is May 15th through the 17th in Dallas, Texas. Looks like Texas is just a home for some good events. So if you guys have any questions on that, definitely reach out. I'll drop some links in the comments later so you guys can check that out, but would love to see you guys there. For me, for my weekly win, man, it has been just a badass week. I feel like I've had quite a few things that I've just been waiting. Anybody else feel this? Drop it in the comments if you ever gone through this, where it's like, dude, it's right there at the finish line. It's right there. It's right there. Just keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer than we would like to get to the finish line. But that happened with quite a few of my deals this week. Biggest weekly win for me. We are just waiting on the clear title, but we are going to be able to fund. We're doing like almost a $3 million hard money loan through Thad Lindsay, who was on the show last week, through his relationships. And we've had to go through quite a few different people in order to make this happen. It's not about what you know, it is about who. And we were able to get the funding for a mutual client of mine so that then we can kick off the bond and then we can start insuring like this whole honky tonk. I mean, it's like a $35 million project, just needed the $3 million to fund. So that is the win for us. It has been quite the ordeal getting all of that. And I swear I'm like on that conversation and some of those calls. And I'm just like, why am I on these calls? Like, I mean, not necessarily like, why am I on it? But I have no clue what these people are talking about. So that's my big weekly win. That'll kick off a lot for us on the insurance side. So shout out to Thad. Like I said, it is not about what you know, it's about who. Keep dropping those weekly wins in the comments. What's up, JR? I see you, brother. Hey, Lily. Grace, what's up? I think Pops, you tuning in, man? Drop that in the comments, man. Drop a weekly win. I know you've been selling you on the phones. Love it, man. Well, y'all, we have a good show for you guys. A little bit different type of show where we really wanted to not necessarily do like kind of like interview style or anything, but like really give you some kind of tangible action items. And then also just some insights from myself and Tony. We now have over 30 plus years in the industry combined. And we've done a thing or two. And I know I look like I'm a baby. But I have been in a little bit over 10 years. So we have definitely done some things right, and we've definitely done some things wrong. So we want to be able to share that with you and just talk through some of the things that we'll be covering. You'll see it in the description, just the power of personal branding, transactional to relational selling, very important, right? Where we're not just a robot, right? Or we're not just order takers. We're actually like creating a relationship with these people. We talked a lot about relationships last week on the show. What the top 1% of agents do a little bit differently. Probably why they're in the top 1%. And I know I can still learn. I'm not in the top 1%, so I'm learning from them as well. AI and automation. So some things that we're using within our agency to help you guys kind of automate, even if you are a little bit of old school, quote unquote. And then what would me and Tony do if we had to start over tomorrow? What would we focus on? I think Tony's answer would be pretty in alignment with what he's still doing now with all of his years of experience. I think
you'll be surprised.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, true. Because of when you started. But yeah, so that's what we're going to get into. Tony, I mean, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to kind of kick it off with you with just the power of personal branding, right? Some of these topics that, why people buy from people and not companies. Obviously what you guys are doing at Avila and what, Grace has kind of become as the face and on the YouTube and all that, like people want to buy from grace, right? And not to say that she's not tied to Avila, which I think is very powerful in how you guys built that. But I think it's really, again, people are doing business with people, not necessarily the company that's backing it, right? And especially as an independent, if you're captive, I know you've got your one strong carrier, but as independents, we have a ton of companies, right, that we represent, but people don't care what those companies are as long as I'm taking care of them. Talk through some of that, Tony. How have you applied that within your agency?
Why does Progressive have Flow?
Yep.
Why does AT&T have Lily? Why does Allstate have Mr. Mayhem or Dennis Haygood or whatever his name is, right? Why do they have those personal people? If their brand is so good, why do they need a face?
Right.
Put it together, right? The reason people buy from people is because there's a relatability thing there, right? It's a relatability thing. And it's creates more of a personal, warm relationship versus a cold relationship, right? People just period. People buy from people. This is the same reason, like when I was at Precision Senior Marketing, like I almost never said those words unless someone asked me, like, where specifically, which FMO or which NMO are you working with? I'm like, oh, I'm with Precision Senior Marketing, yada, yada, yada. But other than that, like, it was just, I leaned on my own name as my brand. And when you asked agents who they were working with, they never said, oh, I'm with PSM or Precision. They always said, we work with Merwin, because that was a trust factor there, right? It also, to some level, especially in a smaller business, like getting away from saying Allstate, because they know they're not going to talk to Dennis, or they know they're not going to talk to Mr. Mayhem. Like, people are smart enough, hopefully, to understand that that's just an advertising brand, but they use it for that reason, because it does create some relatability. But in a smaller business, like they feel like it gives them a little more accountability. There's a real person behind the brand, not just some fake, fictitious fairy dust thought process, right? So I think that's a big part of it. It's just relatability. That's a real human. I want to do business with real people. I can probably hold that person more accountable.
I love that you went this route with we'll call it the commercials, right? Why do people feel like it's like the know, like, trust is already established when they're going online to buy their own insurance from a Geico or a Progressive, right? And I know we're talking P&C. I know there's companies out there just like United Healthcare and stuff like that for, if you're selling other lines of business, where it's like, hey, I know that brand, right? And I know, that person. And I think it's really important, kind of just talking about personal branding, is when somebody gets to me, right? Or the purpose or the reason that they do those commercials and how people find that relatability is because you've put yourself out there. It's a commercial, right? You're actually, you're recording yourself. You're being social. You're going to events. You're sponsoring booths. Like, I mean, how many times have you seen, somewhere where like a Progressive booth, or I know I'm using Progressive a lot here, but really just any type of booth is set up. You can show up, but you feel as though you like already know the people. Like Tony, when you go to an event, right? It's like, oh, Tony's the connector. He's the networker. Well, that's not because he sat at PSM behind a desk and didn't say anything. Right? It's because you put yourself out there and you're really building that personal brand. What's a really easy way to start building your personal brand? I'm literally actually getting ready to start this up with a gentleman. We're going to do some consulting together of just, again, the Dennings talk about it a lot, is how to not be a secret agent. Sometimes the fear of what were you saying in the Monday meeting? The number one fear?
Number one fear of people is public speaking.
And then number two is
death, which, as Jerry Seinfeld told us, that means that if you were at a funeral, you'd rather be the guy in the box than the one giving the eulogy.
Yeah. But again, easy ways to get yourself out there, right? We're kind of trying to give you a little bit of tangible action items. Like, this is a way for you to start building your personal brand. You're watching us here on social media. There's other ways, obviously, to do it, but I think social media is a very powerful way to get your personal brand out there, to start building upon that, is the behind the scenes post. That's one of my favorite videos I've actually done recently, was with Tim Shucker. So Tim Shucker, if you guys don't know him, he runs the Insurance Agents Freedom podcast. They focus on the life health side of things, but really, really good dudes, him and Julian. And Tim was like, yo, I want to come in and just like record you all day. I mean, a totally just behind the scenes, like just a day in the life of Joe, and the thousands of views that we got from that video. And again, it's just me. It's just a day in the life, right? So talk about what is going on behind the scenes in your agency. Client wins, testimonials. We all talk about it. Get your reviews, get your testimonials, but those client wins are very easy for you to, again, start building that personal brand, because you're sharing that for your story or on your profile, whatever that might be. And then personal stories. Personal stories, I guess you could kind of take that with where you want to go with it. But just, again, talking about who you are. Everybody knows Joe's a dad, right? It's like I don't hide the fact that, like, hey, I'm a father, and like this is something that's really important to me. And like I talk about personal things. Or some of y'all saw my video and explaining the Redwood to Clearview transition. It was like an hour long of me just sitting here talking to a camera. That one was a little awkward. I do typically prefer like a co-host or somebody to be able to bounce off of, but share your personal story. Let people know who you are. Tony's talking about it, the relatability. If you're not telling people like who you actually are, don't put on like the whole, like, all right, I'm going to go behind camera and I'm just going to be a different person, right? It's like, no, actually be yourself. And then that is where people will find that relatability. And we'll talk through the importance of that too, where you're really, again, I guess we can kind of shift into it now, is the transactional versus relational selling, right? That relatability allows you to have such a different conversation where you kind of get to sell to the people that you want to sell to. I was just having this conversation, I guess that was yesterday or maybe Monday, with the gentleman that we're getting ready to do some consulting work with, and was just talking through some of that about how, when we're going to sell to these people, like, and the reason why I sell like across the entire country is because I used to be a yes man. Everything in Texas, I'm saying yes to. It turns out there was quite a bit that like I really kind of regretted saying yes to, but I said yes. So like, all right, I'm going to quote it. I'm going to close it. I'm like, man, this guy there, it's just an asshole, man. And so again, not being anyway, but when you have that relation, when I'm going out here and building my personal brand and I can attract people in multiple states, I kind of get to build the book of business that I want to build. I get to build a client base of clients that I don't have a problem talking to 5-10 years down the road, because right, that is the goal. We want them to renew with us. That's where our residual income comes from. But that transactional to relational selling, I think, again, will really, and the personal brand attached to that will start to allow y'all to attract the type of clients that you want, and start building that book that way. So you aren't dealing with a bunch of headache clients just because you said yes. So I think that's some.
I want to add, as far as like easy ways to start, right? And we're talking about starting to get your personal brand out there. I would say, honestly, the easiest way is through educational content about a subject matter that you're an authority on, or you're becoming an authority on. And don't wait until you're an authority. Like, don't wait until you're a major authority to start. Start now. Like, this was one of the things that we did with Avila, and specifically with Grace. Grace is brand new to insurance. She could barely spell the word, much less know how to actually write a policy yet. She knew very little about Medicare. She knew enough to be dangerous, right? But she didn't know how to speak extemporaneously on camera about her topic, right? She would need notes. She would need guidance if she's going to talk about the Part A. How does Part A work and how does Part B work? Like, she still needed notes at that point to remind her. Now she doesn't. Now she can pick up any camera, anytime, talk about Medicare from A to Z and crush it. But that's 5 years and almost 5 years in the making. So like, even at first, like, we understood when we started Avila that we wanted to lean and create a brand that Grace was the image behind, right? Again, this is thing I said earlier. Why does AT&T have Lily, right? Why does Progressive have Flo? Same thing. They want a face to go with the brand. So we knew that Grace would fit that scenario. So we immediately came out with what? Educational content from day one. I was having to write scripts and put them on a teleprompter but it worked. Yep. The people watching don't care. The quality of the videos were terrible. I still, like, one of our very first videos, we probably got over 10 or 12,000 views on it now. The quality and the aesthetics of the camera and the whole video, they're terrible. And you don't have to look that hard to realize that she's reading a teleprompter. Like just pay attention. You can see her eyes
in the glasses.
You can see the reflection. You can see her eyes following the lines. Like, you have to look hard to figure it out, but it's there. But it still gets tons of views. People still call in about that video, as an example. So start the day that you're like, oh, okay, I know that I have to do this. Just start with educational content. I think that's the best way to start, in my opinion, because it starts to tee you up as the subject matter expert or authority, which is one of your questions here. I think this leads right into us. What would your ideal client think if they scrolled your feed? Would they see you as two things? One, a real, authentic human being, and two, a subject matter authority on whatever it is. Like, I'm of the opinion, and it took me a while to get there too, that you need to be open to blend your social media profiles between your professional and personal. You don't need two. You need one profile that's you, the real you,
Yes.
the real Tony Merwin, the real Joe Kampert, the real whoever you are. And don't be afraid to share some of your personal stuff. I would tell you, go check out Grace's feed on Facebook or on Instagram. Even her Avila Medicare page, particularly her Instagram page, isn't just all insurance stuff. You'll see pictures of her traveling to Colombia in that feed. You'll see different things that show who she is so that her customers can relate with her really well. They're like, oh, I've been to Colombia and picked papayas. Like, cool. She's down there doing stuff like that. Like, they're able to see those kinds of things. And that, again, creates that relatability, creates a real human connection.
100%. Real quick before I get into my next point, Justin Jackson commented, start now and don't wait until you're an expert. Good to know I'm on the right track. Absolutely. Doing something is better than nothing, which I love that you're talking about the educational piece to that, because we are trying to connect with people. Stop trying to just close them. I'll give you a perfect example. It happened last night. You guys know, I mean, I'm always somehow going to get insurance out of it, but I'm connecting first. So they're on the opposing team. The guy's name is Johnny. I don't hang out with them outside of softball. I don't hang out with them outside of the softball fields, but I know them, and they're kind of like a rowdy bunch, but they're fun to hang out with, like after the game. And so after our game was over, we're just sitting there having a couple beers, and I'm just talking to him, and what do you know? He brings up his new truck, and I'm like, oh yeah, like, okay, what are you driving, right? And it's like we had this connection before we even got to. Wait, hold on, you're in insurance, right? And I'm like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, yeah, dude, can you see I'm paying $427 a month? And I'm like, oh, really? Do you have any tickets? Do you have any claims? Nah, man. So I'm literally already going through like my underwriting and my fact finding while we're sitting on the softball field, because we had just connected. We were just hanging out. And then turns out the close, right, the business will come with that, where I get all his contact info. And then their coach, right, who is also their pitcher, he overhears that conversation. Well, what the heck, Joe? When are you going to look at my my liability? He runs like a whole construction crew and all this. And so connect with them first. Stop trying to just close. I promise you, if you're actually getting into that relational selling, not transactional, stop making it so like cookie cutter by the book. Just connect with them. Help them let their guard down as well. I think that's the other piece. A lot of people can see an insurance person coming and they're like, oh, gosh, here we go. And I know that I had that. Like when I was first starting, everybody was just like, all right, guys, we're going to have to listen to Joe's pitch, because I was like, I'm always trying to just get the close, right? I'm trying to get the close instead of just hanging out and connecting with them. And we are in a relationship-based industry. When you have those relationships and everybody needs what you have, it kind of follows. So I think that's really important. I think the educational content is a great way to build that connection before you even go to try and close them as well. So
let's take that one more step further. What do you think the difference is between, say, marketing your personality or your brand, your personal brand, versus the products that you sell, the brands that you sell? Why would you market Joe Kampert and not Progressive? I mean, Progressive is such a stable name. Everybody knows who Progressive is.
Right.
They've got flow. What do they need Joe Kampert for?
Yeah, I don't know with that. And I've talked about this a little bit. What if the company ever goes away? Right, like what if for some, oh gosh, knock on wood. I need some wood, dude, because I cannot ever lose this Progressive contract. But just knock on wood, God forbid, we ever were to lose Progressive, and that's all that I'm tagged to or associated to, and then now I can't write Progressive. What am I going to do now, right? So I think that's really important. That if there is anything, we're talking about like how to build your personal brand and talking about the behind the scenes stuff. If there is something that changes behind the scenes, I still want them to know, like, and trust Joe. Not necessarily know that, okay, hey, he lost this contract or he can't provide me with that, which is the only reason I'm with him anyways. We have way more other options, right? And there's all these other different things that we can use to help the client. But I think that's probably the most important part. What if something changes? Yeah. And now my whole name, my whole, catchphrase or tagline is all tagged to Flow and Progressive. And for some reason I don't have it anymore. That can definitely be a detriment to the business. So.
Absolutely.
I don't know, though. Hold on. That's a good question. Now you got me freaking thinking.
Well,
because it also gives you credibility to be sharing.
Give you some credibility. Like, right. I was thinking about the State Farm. They put the dude's name on it that owns the State Farm franchise, right? The like John Landau State Farm, right? So they're smart enough to realize that, oh, there is some power of our brand, but there's power in his personal brand as well. So think about that, right? So they're getting something right there. But the reason that I prefer to always lean on my personal brand and not the products I sell. I'll give you an example. We do events and we'll bring some United Healthcare swag out there. We'll bring some Mutual Omaha swag, some Aetna swag and stuff. But most of my real materials, my educational materials, my subject matter expert materials are all mine. My brochure, my stuff. And we have some of our own swag. We have our grocery bags that all have the Avila brand. We have pens that have Avila brand, hats, shirts, like all of our stuff. We're pushing our own brand because I want to burn that into their brain. I want them to see that logo over and over and over again on everything that's around them. So, I mean, like if they ever go to one of our seminars, if you go back, I mean, I'll have to find it again, but if you go back through some of my older reels and look at some of the seminar stuff that we were doing, it looks like Avila vomited in there. They don't walk in and see United Healthcare and Humana all over the board. They walk in and it's just everywhere they look is the Avila brand. It's on the presentation when they walk in, the cover screen. It's on the folder. It's on the pen. It's on the cup. It's on the notepad. It's on the forms that they fill out as the letterhead. Everything is Avila because I want that to stand out in their brain. I want them to remember that brand. I don't want them to remember United Healthcare. I'm not a captive agent. No offense to United Healthcare. I love them. They're my number one product, but I'm not a captive agent and I don't want them to think of me that way.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. And I think if you are a captive, listening to this, Sean, I see your comment, happened to me in the past with American Family, with AmFam. Totally get that. If you are a captive agent, right? Tony actually just kind of talked about it with State Farm, where you're attaching yourself to that credibility, but it's not all, it's both, right? It's a balance between State Farm or Allstate in your name, right? So you're kind of attaching that credibility to you. So you can still build that way. You can still obviously, even though you are associated to one company, you don't necessarily need to go out there and just publicize it like crazy. You can say like, oh yeah, I have access. Not, hey, this is the only product that I have. If you don't like Allstate, then we can't do business. So I think that's also something.
Don't pitch the product brand in that situation. Pitch the different solutions that you have.
Yeah.
Just because you have one brand, you have a bunch of products in that brand, right? So talk about the solutions. Like even though I might be under one brand, I'm a multi-solution guy. Like I have all these different options I can bring you in and we can figure it out. Is it all under the Allstate flag? Is it all under the State Farm flag? Is it all under the United Healthcare flag? Sure. But you still have multiple solutions to meet their needs.
And honestly, if you've already done what we've kind of just started the show with building the personal brand and having the relatability and selling relationally, they don't really care what carrier is going to come through on that declaration page. If we're being honest, right? They trust you. And if you trust in your product, which you wouldn't be selling your product if you didn't trust in it, then it doesn't really matter that much. But it's also too, you got to make sure that you're building the brand and everything so that it doesn't get to the point of where they are asking, well, who do you represent? Shouldn't matter if they already know, like, and trust you, right? So that's really good. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, definitely feel free to drop it in the comments. If you're catching the replay, still doesn't matter. Drop those questions in the comments. I will definitely circle back and give you guys any type of insights or advice that we have. Let's see here. Monaco. Hold on, where'd that Progressive isn't repping the best football team on the planet. Hook 'em. I like you see my helmet back there? That's a signed Sam Ellinger, Monaco. Thanks for tuning in, brother. Good to see you on here. All right, well, let's switch it up a little bit. We're gonna go. So we're talking about personal branding and relational selling, right? And how to kind of pair those two together. But now I think when you pair those two together, it will help propel you to hopefully what we're trying to do is get into the top 1% of this industry, right? There is a lot of money to be made. And there's a lot of things that need to be in place in order to make that money. And I think there's some people, I've been very blessed and fortunate, I know Tony has as well, to just be around some, for the lack of a better term, just some sick individuals, man. And one thing I've seen, which is kind of the first point on here, is they own their calendar. That freaking thing, like their schedule, dude, is like freaking impenetrable. You can't touch it. It really is. And for me, I try really hard to live by my calendar as well, but then I also will have those moments where, oh crap, right? And I'm pretty good with my calendar, but when I look at how some of these top, performers are operating, bro, I got way too much time in between meetings, right? It's like you look at, and they have everything down. I swear it's like they have breathing on that calendar, right? But they live by their calendar. That's why they're so to the T. They don't miss meetings. They always show up, right? Those are all qualities of a top 1%er. The calendar. That's a really easy resource for us to just, again, put it in the calendar. For me, if I'm trying to have a meeting with somebody, I've done it in the past where I'll schedule it through Facebook Messenger, or it'll be an email thread or whatever or a text. But then I forget to put it on my calendar. I forget to send out the calendar invite. And then it's like, I'm getting a call. Hey man, where are you, dude? I never got the link. And I'm like, oh crap. So mastering your calendar is definitely something that I've seen, again, these top performers. guys, you guys have heard it. We're not the only ones sitting here telling you this, but it is a great refresher that calendar is your best friend to master that schedule for sure.
Absolutely. One of my favorite people in the industry that does this really, really, really well is Nate Offord.
Mm-hmm.
Ask Nate one day, if you're going to SWAT, ask him, but get him to send you a snapshot of his calendar. There is no free time. And he's just very good at managing it and following it and blocking off the time that he needs for himself, the time he needs for his family. Like that's on his calendar, guaranteed, because he doesn't want anybody to accidentally come in and fill up that space on his calendar. So it's blocked, like family time, right? Me time, whatever it is, cold call time. Like it's very well designated. He follows it very well, and that's why the dude's making $1 million a year easily.
Mm-hmm. That's why he just did. I've been talking to him just for SWAT stuff, and in the first quarter, he did like almost 200,000 in life sales just on his own pen again. He's like, yeah, I just got back on the phones and, sold over 200 grand in less than 3 months. And I was just like, dude, what a badass dude.
Yeah.
And Nate's been in the game long enough to where he don't have to be on the phones. He's got a team. He's got all that. But I love that he does that. And again, it's the calendar that really helps you stay on top of that. But then the calendar, right? I mean, that's tracking your day. But then what does everybody else have, Tony?
Track your numbers, man. You got to
know your numbers.
Metrics.
Yep.
Period.
Yes. Everybody, if you're not using a CRM, you need a freaking CRM. I know we have tons of resources, preferred vendors here within the group. I use Pluto, which is the new insurance revamp version of SalesPipe. I've got some news coming out on that next week, but you got to have something in place that is going to help you track your numbers. Excel sheets, just in my opinion, I don't know. What's your thoughts? If they're tracking it on the Excel sheet, and maybe it's not the most efficient, but at least they're tracking it. I don't know.
It works for a while. But if you've been in this business any length of time and you start building up a good book, like you're going to have to get out of that Excel sheet, brother. And that is limited. I'll give you an example. Like I was able to track commissions for our agency on Excel for year one. Once we got into year two and renewals and new business and different carriers and time, I'm like, this is definitely not going to work anymore. It's time to upgrade. Right. And I went and made sure I had really good commission tracking software for that. But if you don't track your numbers in any solid level, then you can't scale because you don't know the numbers that you need to scale. If you don't know what the input is, it's going to be hard to measure or guide to the output that you want, if that makes any sense. If you don't know how many dials it takes to get a lead, to get a sale, then you're stuck. You're just running as fast as you can, hoping. And I would say if you're brand new, don't worry too much about your numbers at first, because it's just go. You have to put data in mass volume for a while, and then come back and look at them like, all right, for the last 6 months, this is what I've been doing. I've made this many calls. I've bought this many leads. I've generated this many referrals. Look at it that way. But you got to get the data set in there first. And then once you get it running, and then you can start tweaking it, playing with it, figuring out, okay, well, it takes, if we do this many dials, or if I spend this much time on the phone, right? Like I harp on my agents here, like there's a certain amount of phone time that you have to put in that's going to deliver results. You have to, and when you're brand new, like you have to start them. I can't be like, they're a brand new agent and be like, all right, here's the sales goal. I need you to write, $10,000 in premium every month. And they're like, okay. They don't have no clue. Goes right over their head. But if I tell them, hey, you need to do $250 a day or $50 a day, 250 a week, 10 talk time hours, whatever those metrics are that you think are going to generate results, that's an activity they can start with.
Yep.
And then once they start seeing, oh, he's right, sales are coming in. Like, yeah, there's science behind it. I know the numbers, right? I can scale and I can duplicate that process. I can teach that to someone else.
Absolutely. Let me, I want to also elaborate on that point too. We're talking about managing your pipeline and your system, right? And knowing your numbers, we were talking about tracking it. Make sure you're managing it as well. When you get somebody in the pipeline, in the funnel, work it. And speed to contact is so important, y'all. I can't tell you what kills all deals. Time, right? So, and I tell you, you are not the only one that is going to go out and get. Now, maybe if it's a close referral, I can get that where it's a little bit more exclusive. But a lot of the times, especially if you're working leads or anything like that, you are not going to be the only one that's reaching. I mean, hell, even with Google and how you can get pixeled now and stuff they will be marketed to again just because they typed auto insurance into Google, right? So speed to contact is really good, or it's really important, but make sure you're actually managing your pipeline as well. Again, we're tracking everything, but let's make sure once it actually comes into the pipeline, right into your funnel, your system, make sure we're actually working it right. We're closing it. I've been in some CRMs. I've seen some systems. And it's like, oh my gosh, dude, like this thing is a freaking mess, right? I mean, everything's statused incorrectly. This campaign's not even live, but they got half their leads sitting in there. So they're not even leveraging the automation within this. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I come from that too. I've seen it. I've been in it in mine where it's like, if you don't stay on top of it, if you don't manage that, it can get real messy real quick. And then it's like, oh shit, I do not really want to take the time to go back through and clean this all up. So I think that's also really important.
I tell my peeps all the time, man, shit in equals shit out.
Mm.
Garbage in, garbage out. So if you want a CRM that actually helps you generate more business, well, then you got to make sure that as you're inputting data, right, and as you're inputting your processes, your tasks, your appointments, like that, you're following it, making notes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The better you are at that, and keeping that data super clean, I promise you it will produce results for you. It'll be much easier for you to recall a conversation. I mean, think about this. Like, let's say you sold Betty, and then 8 months later, Betty calls you back. And let's just pretend that you're a terrible agent and you haven't spoken to Betty at all in those 8 months. But she calls you back, and she's not complaining, but she calls you, and the first words out of her mouth, they're like, hey, Joe, this is Betty. You may not remember me. And you're like, is Betty Jones? And you're looking at your CRM like, I don't even see a Betty Jones. And they're like, oh, there she, oh, I just have her under Betty J. There she is. And there's no notes. You don't even remember what you sold her.
So important.
You have zero, like, okay, Betty, what's going on? And then you're having to fact find again versus Betty calls you and you're like, Betty, even if you don't remember, you pull her up in your CRM and there's everything. You're like, I remember you, Betty. That's right. We talked about this. Your husband is a retired Navy guy and you guys just bought a brand new Ford truck and you needed some insurance, yada, 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 hail damage on the roof. Your dog just died. Like, you have all that stuff in there. They're like, oh, wow, he really remembers me. They don't necessarily know that you're reading it out of your CRM. They can't see that, right? Unless you tell them, like, hang on, let me read my CRM notes.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Hold on, I gotta scroll. Yeah.
But if you're quick on the fly and you're personable and you know how to speak and have great communication, you can pull that up and it sounds like you're an absolute genius.
Yes.
And that goes back to the beginning. It's going to create your better personal brand. It's going to create a better relationship. They're going to realize you're not being transactional.
100% agree. And the last kind of point I want to touch on that, what the top 1% agents do differently, y'all. I love this one. We were just talking about this, like where motivation is needed, right? But motivation it's not always going to be there. There will be days, there will be weeks, sometimes there could even be a month or months where you just don't have the motivation, but it doesn't mean you still don't have shit you got to get done, right?
Yeah, motivation's fleeting.
The motivation is fleeting. The top 1% of agents, they build routines, not motivation.
Why do you think that is?
Why? Well, I think it goes back to the calendar for the schedule, right? So having the routine, having the calendar in place, right? If the top 1% are tracking everything in their calendar, then I think the routine is also what's backing into that calendar. As far as why they do it, consistency. For me, that's my routine is just to stay consistent. Mm-hmm. Anything that I'm doing, it helps keep me on my toes every single day where, hey, it's in the office before 8 a.m. My morning routine is literally like the exact same freaking thing every morning. Not to say that I have the best morning routine. I would like to add like working out and stuff a little bit more. But it's very consistent, which helps me stay consistent, I think, just throughout my day. But
we're creatures of habit.
Yeah.
Number one. And if you don't build a routine that has intention, you will slide into a routine of your own that may or may not be productive for you. So if you specifically want a routine that you know is going to create discipline, that you know is going to help you grow your business, that you know is going to help you grow your mind, et cetera, mind, body, spirit, whatever it might be, you have to build a routine with intention and then follow through with it. Otherwise, you will just slide into a routine because we are absolutely creatures of habit. Think about the things you do during the day. You probably do them in the same order or very similar order every time. Yeah. It's what makes us comfortable, right?
100%. And then the last, I guess we can kind of break some of this down. It's so freaking important, is constant skill development. You guys hear us talk a lot about it. That's through role playing, that's through reading, and through mentorship. I'm a big believer on mentorship. That kind of changed everything for our business. I think the big piece about mentorship too, when you're going to seek out mentorship, and again, this is even for the 1%ers, because I know the people that are the one, they still got a coach. They still have a mentor. They still have somebody that they're speaking with, right, and receiving guidance from. There's always somebody, I think, one level ahead of you. None of us are like, like a Jeff Bezos, or even that. He'd probably got a freaking mentor or something. But the mentorship was really big for me. And then role playing. I probably don't do role play as much as I should. If it's new scripts and things like that, then yes, we definitely will do role play. We'll have some fun with it, right? I think role play too makes people really nervous. Have some fun with it, right? Like mess around with each other, throw in a couple curveballs and have some fun. But at the same time, like do a really good call, have a bad call, and then throw in some curveballs and have some fun. But that's something that we were just talking about that with Cody. Speaking of Askins again, what his sales team, anytime I'd been in those morning meetings, dude, like the role play that they would do in there or the sales game and throwing the ball around and just, those guys were freaking guys and gals. They were freaking sharp. And that's because they did it. Well, what was the routine? They did it every single freaking morning, man. Like every single morning to start their day, they did some type of role play, some type of sales training, some type of mentorship. Maybe it was reading, like an extra. I know Steve, one of their guys that's been around the longest, he always has like a little excerpt that he reads to provide motivation. So I think that's really important. The constant, we're talking about constant skill development, right? Don't just go to one training or read one book and then think you've got all the answers. Yeah. It's the constant piece.
Yeah, my wife and I were role playing the other night. Oh, wait, that's the wrong context. Sorry. But role playing is super important. Think about why NFL teams practice 5 days a week just to get ready for game day, right? There's a reason. It creates habits. It creates discipline. It creates memory in your brain for how to say certain things, right? How to create a certain response, how to respond to certain objections, how to open a certain call. You want to be consistent. Like you want to be able to deliver at an expert level when it's time to deliver. And that's why professionals, and I know I can use NFL basketball, I can use all kinds, but let's just say professionals, true professionals practice their craft all the time.
Yes.
And that's what role playing really counts on, right? You should not be embarrassed to role play. You should not be embarrassed to listen to your calls and figure out like, how do I get, do you want to get better? Do you want to make more money? Do you want to grow? Do you want to build a bigger business? You're going to have to practice, role play, train, develop yourself, period. Otherwise, you're just winging it. And winging it in this business, like, let's face it, because insurance is one of those businesses you can suck and just stick around long enough, you'll make some money because of the renewal nature of it. But if you want to do something really well and you don't want to have to suck as long to make a really good living, then you're going to need to do things like this, like role playing, reading, practicing, developing your skill set so that you can close more business and make more money.
1,000%.
And provide more opportunity to others.
Yes. Yes. That is, we have an obligation to provide this opportunity to others too. I know I've talked about it before, but when you say that, it just makes it like we do have the obligation to share this opportunity with other people. All right, so let's go to the next one here. I love how it said AI and automation for agents who still feel old school. It's okay to still feel old school. I know I'm only 30. I still feel like I don't want to go, honestly, I don't want to go chase all the shiny objects. They look pretty freaking cool, but it's like, dude, my brain doesn't even work that way. I have enough on my plate with just like the systems I use now. And I know some other people's brains just can work that. And I'm like, that ain't my thing. So I'm a little bit more old school, but I definitely have tech savvy. And we use quite a few things. So I kind of want to just talk about, what we're using, some of the resource or some of the softwares and tools that we're using within our agencies, just to, again, provide that to you guys. It's what we're doing to run our business. If you don't have something or you're looking for a change, then definitely check them out. We wouldn't be recommending them to you in the first place. But again, it's automation for agents who still feel old school. Automate the repetitive, not the relationship. Automate the repetitive, not the relationship.
Why?
For the repetitive. So I think, well, let's define what is the repetitive.
It's a simple answer. Why automate the repetitive, not the relationship? What happens if you automate the relationship?
Well, you kind of lose the relationship.
It becomes transactional.
Right.
It's no longer a relationship. It's just a transaction again.
What is okay? So let's
now why automate the repetitive?
What's the hold on? Let's go back to the relationship piece there. What are things that we should not be automating that turn it transactional? Like that's why I was trying to define like repetitive, right? Like what are the things that are the relationship pieces or builders? Because I know we do a lot of email marketing. Is that the relationship builder? Or maybe, but it is though, if it's a damn good email and they respond, that kind of gets that relationship going. Like what is the repetitive? I think is a great place to start too.
I know there's going to be some guys out there that are way sharper than me in technology and AI. I'm still currently of the opinion that you or a human being should be doing things like welcome calls.
Yeah.
Hey, Mrs. Jones, your policy's been approved, right? Especially if you're newer in the business and younger, because you're still really trying to develop the relationship. There might be a day in the future where your brand is big enough and your relationship with those clients is big enough that you can start to use a really sophisticated AI bot to make those welcome calls for you, things of that nature. But we have a VA that handles all that stuff, that keeps it, and we tee it up. Like when the agent makes the sale, he's like, hey, your app's submitted. It's going to take them, 5 or 6 days to process it. They'll kick you back a member ID. You're going to get an email from me with your member ID, but you're also going to call from my assistant, Juliana. And she is going to call you, Betty, and tell you, hey, welcome to the party. We're glad to have you on board. And she's going to help and follow up and make sure that you get all your materials. She helps us with our client onboarding. So we keep that at a very relationship level. Going to another thing, we're still, and I know there's going to be people out there that's like, you don't have to do this, Merwin. We're still handwriting our own thank you cards. I know that I can go hire, I think it's Thanks.io, or there's a couple other people that have the little manuscript machine that'll do it for me and still make it look fine. But I've got a box of 1,000 cards that I'm going to get through before I consider that. I think it's a great touch. We do automate birthday cards. We automate some of those things, but I also tell my agents, like, don't just allow the automation to send them a happy birthday. Like, pick up the phone and call one of your clients and go, hey, Betty, I just wanted to reach out and say happy birthday to you. And this is especially true in our industry because old people generally get left alone.
Name somebody else that's doing that too. I mean, think about what an easy way to separate yourself from the noise is. Like, I don't know anybody on the PNC side that's calling their clients for their birthdays, right?
Say, hey, happy birthday.
I think too, going back to, again, automating the repetitive, right? Like, what is the repetitive? For me, I look at that as in automate some of the work, automate some of your inefficiencies.
That's the word.
Don't replace yourself. I think a lot of the times we get into these systems, and with all the AI now and the bots and the AI voice, AI calling, I mean, all this, I mean, you can literally, I know some people that are pretty much selling with AI, right? Like they're barely a part of that process. They've totally removed themselves. And where it's cool, where I think it's I guess, efficient to an extent, right? There's no relationship there, which, again, for the most part, why are we in this business? I know some of the life people aren't like this, but for the most part, why are we in this business? It's for the longevity, right? It's for the residual income. It's for the renewal. So if I don't have the relationship, if I was never a part of that, to Tony's point, very, very transactional. There's no reason for them to do business with, or to at least stay with me past that first, renewal or that second renewal. So again, automate some of your inefficiencies, automate some of the work or the task, right? Again, and that's up to you and your agency and how you run. But what is like the repetitive? And I think that's what you need to start with and define. Don't replace yourself by going out and getting all these shiny objects and trying to build all this stuff out. Again, it's cool, but I still think that person, to Tony's point, the personal touch is needed. It's what separates us from the crowd, right? Some of the tools I'm using, or at least that we're looking at within our agency, it's funny. It's called Get Guru. It's not Go Guru. It's Get Guru. They are their own AI platform, and think of it like just a huge knowledge base. So what we're using it for is for our carriers and like market appetites and underwriting guidelines and all this stuff, because again, now we're up to like 150 carriers now. The Slack channels start blowing up. Hey, where would you go with this, or this? And especially if you're riding in multi-state with multi-carriers, shit's changing almost every single day, right? And depending on not even depending on the vertical. And every vertical within this industry, I swear, is like changing almost every single day. So it's called Get Guru, and it ties all that together, and then you can use keyword functionality to go in and find it, right? Or just type the question, where would you go with this risk? And it will actually help you go find that answer. Adapt AI is another one that we're looking at implementing as well. We've done the demo. We actually have done a month of work with them, where it's actually it's a bot that will go in and pull all of the memos, underwriting memos, documents, and then all of the cancel pending or cancellation non-pay reports from your carriers. And it just puts all of that into a singular location for you and your team or your agents, your service people, to be able to work those. It's really important. Those cancel pending non-pay reports were huge for us. But with every single carrier, you got to go in, you got to pull the reports every single day, make sure you're not missing stuff. It's nice to have that tool, and it's a usage-based tool. It's called, again, Adapt AI. Obviously, ChatGPT. A lot of us are all using ChatGPT. And then QSO. QSO is one. I don't know. I'm kind of looking at Opus. I'm looking at CapCut, but it's our AI editing tool that we use for all of our clipping and videos and stuff. It's been really great. It used to be called Video.ai, which Victoria Cabrera actually turned us on to, which is crazy. Probably almost 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. They've been since bought by QSO.ai. Still a great platform, very cost efficient, but has had some glitches and stuff. So I've kind of been looking at Opus Clip is a big one you guys have probably heard of. So those are some of the stuff I'm using. And then my CRM, I talked about it earlier, Pluto CRM. It is the insurance build out of Sales Pipe. It's your phones. It's very GHL-esque. It actually came out 2 years before Go High Level, but a lot of the same functionalities. If you guys want to check out my system, I'm happy to show you that too. But those are a few things that we're using. What tool? I know you got a lot of kind of stuff that's kind of implemented within your, systems.
Most of my stuff that I'm using as far as AI stuff is just built right into Go High Level, right? I mean, it certainly has integrations through different items, like it integrates with Mailbox Power. There's an automation and then Mailbox Power has its own automations, right? So all you have to do is the trigger happens in GHL, sends the contact, and then boop, mail goes out. But yeah, most of mine is just inside of Go High Level. Like the automations you can build inside there are nuts. The ones that I use the most are mainly lead development. Right. We have a lot of Facebook ads that are generating leads that go into our Facebook Messenger, and then AI and chatbots pick it up and work that sequence to try to get it towards an appointment. Other than that, we have a VA that oversees that. Appointment reminders, all of that type of stuff is automated. Birthday cards, welcome letters, welcome emails, all of those little items are like those, again, inefficiencies. Right. What are the little tasks that are a little bit inefficient that if you could keep the human being out of it, right, it would run faster and they would have more time to be more productive on things that you absolutely need a human element for.
Being more relational.
Right. And being more, yeah, exactly.
Yep. No, that's good. Yeah, those are, let's see here. Anything else on that? Oh man, look at this point. This is kind of savage. I'm just going to read the point. What did I use to help me make all this, right? I prompts and I fed ChatGPT and then I helped clean it up and like made it my own, right? I still had the personal kind of relational touch. I didn't want it to be just a ChatGPT script, right? But this is very, I didn't write this. Old school agents who resist tech are already falling behind. Don't be Blockbuster. Don't be Blockbuster, guys. I know, I reminisce of my days with Blockbuster and the Game Pass that they had. But don't be Blockbuster when it comes to your CRM, your AI, all that good stuff. Let's see here. Let's I guess we're 53 minutes here. So let's go ahead and just go. I'm excited to ask these questions. I think I know how you're going to answer, but you said, well, maybe not. What would you do if you had to start over tomorrow? So this is kind of just, me and Tony talking through like, man, knowing what I do now, I talk a lot about this. It's why I love sharing the opportunity and training and coaching. It's, gosh, man, if I knew what I did now at 19 when I freaking first started, oh my gosh. Like, where would I be? But at the same time, I don't have the mindset of like, man, where would I be? Right. It's no, that experience is invaluable, which has put me in the position to be able to help share, this knowledge and information. So for Tony, what niche or product would you start with?
I would stick with my strength, Medicare and final expense. Assuming that this question is geared towards what would you have to, what would you do if you had to start over in the insurance world?
Yes.
Tomorrow, then definitely I would stick with what I know best, Medicare and final expense.
Yeah.
100%. That's my strength. I still firmly believe long obedience, one direction. I mean, yeah, you want to grow at some point, but I don't need to go learn everything there is to know about PNC and start over in that environment. Hell no. I mean, if I were doing that, I would just pair up with you and I would hire an agent and make you teach them everything. And then I would just run commissions and administer the business and market.
True.
I have zero desire to start learning how to write insurance in another lane personally.
I think, for me, I wish I would have been better at cross-selling life insurance. I got so heavy PNC that life always, and I've been licensed for life insurance for like 7 years or something like that. It took me quite a while to really understand the, we'll call it the cash flow opportunity, the revenue potential with life insurance. Pete Fournier was the one who opened my eyes to that, where I'm like, damn, dude, why have I not been doing this longer? So I think that would be something for me as a property and casualty guy. I know a lot of your captives, you have to, because of you want to hit your bonus and everything. But it's funny. You almost I can't tell you all the captives I talk to, they dread it because they have to do it. So for me, again, if I were to go back, I wish I would have implemented life insurance more or faster alongside all of my property and casualty. There's no reason I shouldn't be selling a mortgage protection policy if I'm literally working with the lender and selling them a home insurance policy, right? That would probably be one thing that, not necessarily what product. Obviously, I would start with PNC, but I wish that would have been a product that I wish I would have started alongside with, if that makes sense. Here's a good. What would your daily schedule look like? I don't feel like my daily. Yeah, I was like, I don't feel like that's changed too much either. It's like it's my daily schedule, just rocking and rolling.
It would be full. I mean, if you're brand new, right, and you're just starting over, then you have to absolutely make sure that you block out time for cold calls. And I think this is one thing that a lot of agents fail to do. They're like, oh, I need appointments on my calendar. Right. But you also need to block off time that is guaranteed for you to hunt. Because unless you have a full day that is appointment, lunch, appointment, and it's just packed, well, there's some break in there somewhere. Yeah. And when that break happens and there's open space that's not an appointment, that's a sales engagement or building a referral partner, whatever it might be, you should be hunting. So, and if you're brand new and most of your time is spent hunting, I would highly recommend you block out time on your calendars. Wetmore does this still to this day, like he's recently done it. I know Nate does it. They block in, as big as they are, they block in time for this is me prospecting, whatever it might be. Maybe it's prospecting for new agents. Maybe it's prospecting for new business. Maybe it's prospecting for referral partners. But there is a time block that says, because that's your growth time. That is pushing more people into your pipeline, right?
Yes.
So that and not to get, I know we talked about managing your calendar earlier,
but it's so
looking at what your daily schedule would look like if I started over, I would absolutely be carving out time to hunt.
Yes, 1,000%. I'll take this one. How would you use social media if no one knew you yet? Facebook groups. I got into Facebook groups, definitely later on, but I'm thinking like when I first started with Allstate and stuff, like nobody knew. Hell, I had to take my it's funny, nobody knows this, or some of you do. I had to take my picture off my business card and my email signature because I was losing deals because people didn't want to buy insurance from a baby. I looked like a little freaking kid. But for me, I'm thinking, okay, what would have been a way for people to kind of know who Joe is, right? Again, we're talking about the personal stories and the personal branding and everything. I would use social media. I would be way heavier into Facebook groups, not insurance facing, more on the client side of things. When I finally got into like the trucking groups and stuff like that, that was just a freaking game changer. And then really, it's funny, how did Tony introduce me today, guys? As like the trucking insurance, and it's so, I think for me, the Facebook groups are really powerful. If you guys are not leveraging those guys, the search bar is your friend. I tell everybody this. I was just on a training call explaining this. Like one of the largest Facebook groups of all time was the guy who was going to storm Area 51. There is a group out there for everything. Just use the search bar and back into your client avatar. So for me, when I was selling, auto and home insurance for Allstate, it's funny, I'm actually still in some of these groups, St. Louis real estate investing, right? Or whatever, because I know that it's people who are buying freaking properties and they live in St. Louis, which is where I'm living. Why would I not be in that group? So the search bar, again, back into who your ideal client is, where your ideal client is. That's also the power of having all these non-resident states like we do. But back into that and then go use the search bar. I promise you there's a group out there for that. So that's how I would use it to, if no one knew, and no one did know me when I was 19, living in St. Louis, selling auto and home insurance at Allstate. So, Facebook groups, very powerful.
I would say it depends on who I'm selling to.
True. Yes.
Right?
Very true.
But considering that if I started over, I'm still going to be doing Medicare and final expense, still going to be working hard. I would do it exactly the same way we did it for starting Avila. I would create a recipe for exploding content to create an omnipresent situation, right? And that's exactly how we got Grace's brand going. Like nobody knew who the hell Avila was. Nobody knew who the hell Grace Avila was except her little friends, right? And that was it. So I knew immediately. I'm like, how am I going to create enough content fast enough to get her brand rocket shipped to a level where they think that she's been around forever already.
Right.
And that every time somebody opens up their phone or their computer and they jump on any form of social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc., YouTube, they're going to see Grace's face. How do I create that? So I came up with a real simple recipe on how to take one long form video, and turn it into about 65 pieces of content. And we just started that way. Like, here, Grace, go shoot this 10-minute video. And then boom, we take that and explode it out into all kinds of content and shoot it out all over the interwebs. And before you know it, dude, if you're any one of her followers, I promise you, she's probably the first thing you see every time you open your phone.
Right.
She's everywhere.
Real quick on that too. So when I was talking about QSO, what we're using, that AI tool, what Tony said is a really good point. Sit down, do some long form. I just did this with one of our agents, Lane, where, hey, just sit down. It doesn't have to be like interview style, like perfect, because we're going to clip it up anyways. And I literally just got 10 questions that would, kind of thought provoking, a little bit creative, have some fun with it. Sat behind the camera, asked him the questions. He responded to the questions. We take that long form, we just dump it into QSO. QSO clips it all up, captions it, titles it for you so you know where you're at. That's a really easy way, like to what Tony said. Hey, go do 10 minutes. That'll get you so many pieces of content for weeks that you can continue to push out there.
Yeah. Then you can take that, dump it into a transcriber like Sonics. Then Sonics will transcribe into written word. Now you have a blog or an email blast.
Yep.
Like it's not that hard. You just have to get a little bit creative and use a couple of tools to help you blow it up.
Yeah, 100%. Let's go. Well, I want to ask this one. I know we're running a little long, but I want to ask this one because this one for me was I wish I would have gone faster with this one. But Tony, would you start building a team from day one? Again, this is if we have to start over tomorrow. You doing it with a team, or you rocking?
100% doing it with the team, man. Especially with the experience level that I have. Like there's no reservations in that. The only difference would be, like, I know that starting with a team in a lot of cases, at least in the model that I run in, is going to cost me more money. So I need to make sure that my reserves are there. But 100%, I would absolutely start building a team as fast as I could. Run alongside me. Let's go.
Yes. Okay. I love that you said that. Some people are scared to build it. I don't know it all yet. Or we're just getting started, man. Or they're even scared to bring in the wrong person, so they just never bring anybody in. And for me, part of that fear too was they're never going to be like Joe, right? And I'm going to have to do this. Oh man, like they're never going to sell like me. They shouldn't. They're never going to. Nobody's Joe. Nobody's Tony, right? Perry Lunsford is who, at least I got it from. I don't know if he got that from somebody or this from somebody, but he said, dude, just find somebody that can do half of what you can. And then just find one more of those. And now you got somebody that now you have two people that can do what you can. For me, again, I regret not starting building the team. It took a while to kind of, all right, let's go. Let's start adding people into this thing. Whereas there is a lot of value in, Tony said running alongside. It's in the trenches with them. When you're building something together, regardless of whether you know it all or not, if they understand, or both of you understand, or all of you understand, all right, guys, we're all new at this. We're just going to do it together. There's so much power in that, where it's like, man, we did that together. So don't be scared just because you don't know everything, or maybe you are new. I wish, like, my renewals would have looked different if I didn't wait, 2.5 years to start really bringing people onto Redwood back in the Redwood days. And so for me, it was like, man, I wish I would have just brought more people on day one. Guess what? People are going to fall off. That's okay. That's just that is the cycle and the nature of this business. But you'll find the ones that stick. And then it's like, dang, I waited 2.5 years and then you look at your production that following year. Crap. It's like, I wish I would have brought more people on.
If you're an agent that's in this business, you probably have an upline, especially if you're new, because you're not an NMO yet. You're not at the top of the food chain. It's impossible to come in at that level. So you have someone above you that you're working with. Could be a Joe, could be a Tony, could be a company, could be any number of uplines, right? And if you've ever heard my 8 relationships, you might know where I'm going with this. If they're any good and you trust them enough to put your contracts with them, can't you convince other people to put their contracts with them under you? Right? Like, we're talking about recruiting a team. Why are you going to wait until you're an absolute authority and subject matter sales superstar to start recruiting if you already have someone that you trust to put your business with? Right? So go find someone that's looking for a similar opportunity you are and introduce them to your guy and be like, hey, man, the reason I'm doing well is because I tied into Billy up here, and Billy's killing it. So I'm going to introduce you to Billy, and we're going to go run alongside together, and we're going to do what Billy tells us to do, and we're going to go kick some ass. Are you ready? And get them excited and run. That is how I built the #1 team at Grant and Marketing in all of North America. Out of thousands of offices, I had the #1 producing team. And why? Because all I did was introduce, for a while when I was newer, I just introduced them to Tiffany, who was a killer. I was like, here, let me get you in a meeting with Tiffany. And then Tiffany would sell them on the opportunity. Tiffany would train them, would get them going. And all I had to do was take them out in the field and run.
Love that.
And build the work ethic with them. And then Tiffany took care of all the other details. And the next thing I know, I've got 25 people on my crew. We're out producing some of the biggest offices. And I'm on stage getting a big plaque and a promotion and got my own city.
Yeah. If you trust, I love you said that. If you trust them enough to put your contracts with them, why are you not, trusting them enough or reaching out to them, or at least even like when you're hiring somebody or looking to hire, like having them a part of even that interview process, I think is so important. I like that you said that. Let's wrap up here. I know, guys, we're running a little long. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We've had a great audience. What's something you'd avoid doing again, Tony? We'll wrap up with this.
Hiring out of desperation. Just because you do want to build a team doesn't mean you need to hire every mirror fogging person out there. Don't just go pick up some mouth breather. It's like, I got to get some people on my team.
Right.
And when we started Avila, I was kind of like that. Like there was a guy that was hungry. At least I thought he was hungry. He seemed to kind of fit our culture. He was bilingual. He wanted to do Medicare. He was a previous teacher himself. So I thought he'd slide right in. But then I didn't vet him enough, and turns to find out he has absolutely zero work ethic.
Yeah.
I mean, and I poured in a lot of money. I poured in a lot of time into him because I really, 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 really wanted him on my team, because I knew, man, if I can get another producer going in this thing, let's go.
Right.
So hiring out of desperation allows you to accidentally hire the wrong people.
Yeah.
Right. And this is something I had to learn the hard way. And now we do it. And we've got great people on our crew. And I knew it, like I'd heard it: hire slow, fire fast. But I wasn't. I was hiring out of desperation. I'm like, oh, you want to come work with us? Let's go. Paperwork. Let's go, 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 go.
Right.
I was like, no, this turns out this guy's the wrong person. And next thing I know, I'm $15,000 in the hole with him. Now we put him through a 3-stage interview process that, and for some people, might take them a week or so to complete. Some people, if they're jobless at the moment, they might be able to bang it out in 3 days. But we do a prep interview, like, who are you? Why do you even considering insurance? What makes you think you're going to be good at it? What's your past experience? Just kind of get to know them. And I'm like, all right, if we like that, then we put them on a full day sitting side by side, shadowing Grace. Full 8 hours. Just sit there and watch Grace do what she does. So there's zero confusion on what the job will be when they arrive.
It's important.
Zero confusion. They know exactly what they're getting into. If they can handle that, and they still want to come on board, we do a final interview to talk about the goals, the opportunity, the expectations. And if we like that, we'll sign the contract and maybe offer. We may not offer the job on the 3rd. Usually I don't. I'll make them go through the 3 interviews, and then I'll call them to offer them a job. Like, come in and sign your paperwork. So it's more of a 4-step process. Setting
that expectation is really important, for sure. One thing that I'd avoid doing, again, changing agency management systems. This is definitely, this is more PNC specific. I've gone through them all, guys. When we first started, we were with QQ Catalyst. Again, it's going to definitely be a little bit more centric to PNC folk, but you'll get my point. We started with QQ Catalyst, left QQ to go to EasyLinks, which we are now with EasyLinks again. Left EasyLinks to go to NowCerts, which is Momentum now. Left NowCerts to go to Better Agency. Won't say much, but there's a reason we are definitely not with Better Agency anymore. And then we went back to EasyLinks. So anybody that knows on the PNC side, that's our client house. It's what's connected to all the carriers. It's the Ivans download. So when I'm selling policy, that's how we're reconciling. It's how we're tracking. Having to migrate and move that data in that many systems was insanity. I told anybody that knows me now, I'm like, I'm never leaving EasyLinks. Like, literally, we're never doing it again. So that is one thing I would never do again. And it wasn't necessarily chasing shiny objects. I just think we were being pitched the pipe dream and not doing enough of our due diligence. Where it's like, dude, if it works like that, it's going to be amazing. It was if it works like that, because it wasn't built out yet. So we're like signing up for shit and it's not even built.
Guilty, been there too.
Yes, I wouldn't change agency management systems as many times as we have. EasyLinks, it's great. We're on it now. Yeah. So that is the show, guys. I know we ran a little bit long. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I see all the comments. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys are catching the replay, do not hesitate to ask any questions. We are more than happy to circle back and get those answered. But without further ado, y'all, happy winning on Wednesday. It is the peak of the week. Keep the pedal down. Hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Later, guys.